This is in our Congress.
Right now, as I speak, there is an existing Sharia-adherent enclave run by the East Plano Islamic Center. This is why Texans passed Proposition 10 by a 95% landslide to ban Sharia in Texas.
You are a hypocrite of the worst type. You took our votes. You took our endorsements.
Sharia has no place in America.
I do believe there is an enemy inside of our gates that is seeking to distract us. As to what follows, my dear brothers and sisters of Epic community, yesterday, Congressman Keith Self showed a map of our masjid and the neighborhood surrounding our masjid in Congress. And he made many false claims about you and me and about our masjid and about the people living around the masjid. This is in our Congress. This congressman, Keith Self, he represents Texas 3rd District. That is parts of Plano, McKinney, Allen, Wiley, and other surrounding neighborhoods. And this congressman is the primary founder of an entire caucus. It is called the Sharia-Free American Caucus, which is a political caucus that claims that America is facing an existential threat because of Islam and the Sharia, and that politicians have to come together to ban Sharia and to make sure Muslims do not practice Sharia. Yesterday's hearing was a part of that tactic by this caucus to further their agenda. Now, this particular congressman, Mr. Keith Self, he has long shown his blatant animosity to our religion in multiple statements. In one interview recently, he said, and I quote, "While Western civilization has evolved, Islam has not. Islam is stuck in the 8th century. And if they succeed at imposing their beliefs on us, we will be dragged back into the dark ages." End quote. He says Muslims will drag Europe back into the dark ages. It would behoove an elected official and a representative of a district in which almost 15% of that district speak languages from Asia and the Middle East to learn some facts about the religion at least 10% of his own constituents practice and follow. The fact of the matter, as all intellectual historians acknowledge, is that were it not for Islam, Europe would still be in the dark ages. This is a reality and a fact that every intellectual historian has highlighted. Will Durant, one of the most recognized and erudite historians of the last century, Will Durant, in his magnificent The History of Civilization, he writes, and I quote, "The Islamic world was at that time the most advanced civilization on earth. It was the Muslims who preserved and enhanced and transmitted the Greek heritage back to Europe." End quote. Bertrand Russell, perhaps the greatest philosopher of the last 150 years. Bertrand Russell, when he writes his History of Western Philosophy, an iconic book in the required curriculum across Western universities, he writes, "For centuries, the Mohammedans, the Muslims, were more civilized and more humane than the Christians. They preserved Greek philosophy when Christians forgot about it." End quote. And I can go on, but apparently our congressman isn't somebody who is particularly fond of facts and truths. His entire tirade against us, against you, his entire tirade was riddled with wild accusations and conspiratorial craziness. He claims, completely falsely, that the neighborhood around the masjid was sold exclusively to Muslims. This is a blatant lie. It was on a public market and anybody could buy. He claims, and I quote, that this is a Sharia-adherent neighborhood. And he decries the fact that there are halal shops across the road. And there's a Sharia-compliant institute that's giving Sharia-compliant financing schemes and financing loans. He even claims, and this is on YouTube, and if it were not for the fact that it's on YouTube, I would be embarrassed to say this ridiculous claim. He claims that girls disappear from our societies at some point in time. Sisters, apparently you don't exist in his world. He also claims that there are mysterious deaths taking place. He literally says this, mysterious deaths taking place in our community. He calls Epic a parallel society cut off from the rest of the world, a de facto Sharia enclave. Those are his words directly. And he makes a very big deal of the fact that close to us, around us, next to our neighborhood, is a local police station. But he's never spoken to the chief of police, with which we have very strong ties, who visits our community all the time. We have a great relationship with them. But he has some sinister agenda that we actually wanted to build a mosque. To do what exactly? To monitor a small little precinct in America and think that that's how somehow going to change the course of American history? The fact of the matter is, to read in something sinister to a mosque and a thriving community, to read in conspiratorial craziness to shawarma shops and halal products, to claim that a coincidental closeness to a small local training facility is somehow a sinister agenda to take over the country, would in most circumstances be scoffed at some type of conspiratorial Glenn Beck talk of a person with very low IQ. But when a member of Congress brazenly mentions our mosque by name, when he displays a neighborhood map with the actual houses of the people living around the mosque literally highlighted on his map, when he brings in talk of sinister accusations of a takeover, it is no longer some clown shouting outside of the street. This is a direct threat to the safety of the people of our community and of the innocent families living around our neighborhood. This is not some deranged lone conspiracy theorist. This is a sitting member of Congress who is supposed to protect us. And instead of protecting us, he is literally inviting an unwarranted hatred attention to our communities. But you see, what clearly demonstrates this congressman's blatant deception is that while he was running for office, the very office that you used to attack us, you were standing right outside our mosque over there, not 10 feet from where I'm giving this lecture. You were begging us for votes. You were standing right there inside of our community, asking us to vote for you. And now you come and stab us in the back. Have you no shame? What Sharia enclave are you talking about? What parallel society are you accusing us of? When you came here unannounced, unarmed, you came here, walked in with full freedoms, you came here begging for our votes. Where did you see a second parallel universe? Where did you see girls disappearing, being zapped up into the air? Where did you see mysterious deaths? All of a sudden, when you get into Congress, when you're finally elected to the place that our constituents use to elect you, you backstab the very people you're supposed to be supporting and whose very taxes pay your own paycheck. Have you no shame, Mr. Keith Self? This is the reality that we have to deal with. The gap between what you say in Congress now and what you did yesterday outside of our mosque wanting to be voted in, that gap leaves no room for interpretation. You, sir, are a hypocrite of the worst kind. You are a hypocrite of the worst type. You took our votes. You took our endorsements. You knew full well we are a part of our society. We are American tax-paying citizens. And when you got into Congress, you turn around and you backstab the very people you are supposed to be representing. Congressman, I say to you directly, and I quote from you. I'm quoting from your statement yesterday. You said, make no mistake, the enemy is inside the gates, end quote. Given the fact that you were inside our gates, let me state, as a born and raised Texan, that I actually do believe there is an enemy inside of our gates. I do believe there is an enemy that is allowing this great nation to be overcome with fear and is dividing our societies based upon prejudice. There is an enemy that is actively working to dismiss the freedoms granted to us by the very Constitution you claim to uphold. I do believe there is an enemy inside of our gates that is seeking to distract us from the Epstein files, that wants to deflect attention away from yet another war that this government is fighting on behalf of Israel. Yes, there is indeed an enemy, and it's not just inside the gates, it's inside Congress, it's inside the Senate, and it's inside higher places than that. The enemy is indeed within, and that enemy is fomenting fear. It is preaching misinformation. It is preaching hatred. And so I say to you and to everybody who is listening, it is never too late. No matter what you say about us, we will extend an olive branch to you in spite of your misinformation. And we still will welcome you and anybody else who has any confusion about us, because we are so confident that anybody who comes to our community, anybody who visits us with an open heart and an open mind, with a clean heart, wanting to seek information, wanting to interact with us, we are confident that what you will see, far from being an enemy, you will see loyal, hard-working, tax-paying, honorable, dignified believers in God, followers of the Prophet. The people of Epic, dear sir, are no enemy. The people of Epic and all of the Muslims of this country, they represent the best of what it means to be God-centric, the best of what it means to be believers in God, the best of what it means to contribute back to humanity. And thus, I firmly believe we represent the best of what it means, not just to be Americans, but to be humans and to be representatives of the religion of God on earth. So help us, God. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the evil machinations of all of those who are plotting to go against us. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal for His hifz, for His protection.
فيا ذلي ويا ذذل